on expanding your home square footage, there's a lot more to think about than just adding rooms to your home.
Hi, I'm Ana Alvarez, and this is my husband, Frank Martinez.
And we're from the firm Martinez and Alvarez Architects and Planners. We're very happy to share this project with you today. We've dedicated a lot of our time and efforts to restoration and preservation work.
We show you how good architectural planning is key to creating a seamless design on today's SoFlo Home Project. Welcome to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra. If you've outgrown your current home, you might want to consider expanding your square footage before putting a for sale sign on the lawn. And that is what the homeowners of this beautiful historic property decided to do. The original size of this home was 2,500 square feet. The new 3,600 square foot property works much better for this long, narrow lot. So we're here today in Coral Gables, joined by architects Ana Alvarez and Frank Martinez. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And we're at a historic home here in the Gables that you guys have worked on to do in addition to the property. And we thought it would be great to bring to viewers today a little bit about how adding an addition to a home, and especially something of a historic home, how the whole process works and what you did.
So we're in a 1925 Mediterranean Revival home from, considered early Coral Gables architecture. And it's a long, narrow lot, 50 feet by 175 feet. The owners were looking to do some restoration to the house and add a bedroom, some outdoor living spaces, and we encouraged a courtyard and a pool. We had the opportunity to essentially add a little over 1,000 square feet to the 2,500 square foot.
Nice, so that's a substantial addition. And you talked about it being a narrow lot. What are some of the challenges or some of the things that actually could be beautiful enhancements when working with a lot of that nature?
In long, narrow lots, the proportions actually give us the opportunity to have multiple sort of sequence of spaces, both interior and outdoor. So a lot of our work, really from the beginning of our practice, focuses on that integration of both the exterior, bringing it into the interior.
And what was here before? Was there a pool existing?
The two-story house had basically no relationship to the backyard. There were no porches or anything that would create outdoor living spaces, and a pool that came closer to the house. So it was underutilized, really.
How did you utilize this space? And I think we could start with this area right here, the courtyard.
We started with this concept of, hey, are we able to do a series of spaces? And let's start with a courtyard immediately behind. And the idea was, since the owners were really talking about these exterior spaces like an outdoor dining area, an outdoor kitchen, so we thought, hey, if we basically place that a little bit away from the existing house to create a courtyard, then we'd need to connect it with a gallery. Essentially, it's a one-story connection that allows direct and covered connection from the house to the new part. That actually allows for both a connection, a visual connection and transparency from the courtyard all the way out to the pool and the pool garden.
What were some of the things when designing this space, getting the proportions right, sort of the connection to the rest of the existing home were important to think about?
We thought of the center part of the courtyard open, kind of inviting for entertaining and, of course, allowing the view through. And then we had the perimeter, heavy landscaped. We worked with Louis Aki, the landscape architect, and everything's filled in nicely. And it really just frames each of the spaces.
One of the things that we needed to do to the existing house was to add a porch to it. So we both have the porch and the connecting gallery. So in a sense, it gives us a new face onto the courtyard itself.
When you're doing an extension, especially in an outdoor extension, what are some of the things that you need to take into consideration to make it match, to really pay respect to the existing architecture and make sure it feels original?
We were looking for a seamless approach.
Well, the key is to find the elements that are part of the character of old Coral Gables.
So the materials are what we find locally: the clay tile, the keystone, the use of stucco, the use of combination of roof types, which is Some are sloped and some are flat.
For example, the combination of one-story and two-story elements, so it's not just one volume. The porch added to the old house is a one-story porch with a one-story gallery, then connecting to a new two-story body that's open on the ground floor. So varying those heights, the proportion and the intercolumnation of the columns themselves, and then the fact that those beautiful clay tiles are on a wooden roof, right, that actually has traditional construction. Beams and rafters, and there we actually get to bring in more of sort of the natural environment in a different sense, like through the use of color and so forth. That also becomes very important to trying to accomplish that old Coral Gables character, which is based on Mediterranean revival.
Well, it's beautiful what you did here because it feels so seamless. Everything is gorgeous and feels original to the home. Coming up, the seamless connection between indoor and outdoors continues in the new covered patio on SoFlo Home Project. Welcome back to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra, and we are continuing our tour of this beautiful Coral Gables home with architects Ana Alvarez and Frank Martinez. The new kitchen patio takes up the first level of this addition. It functions as a great gathering area without blocking the view of the pool from the main house. So Frank and Ana, when working with clients, every client has a wish list of the things that have to go into a space. And here in this outdoor structure, were there certain things that you had to accommodate in your design?
So it was not an extensive list. The request for an outdoor kitchen, which some maybe would interpret as more of a pavilion-like condition. And then there was a guest room request. And then, more outdoor gathering spaces, because they have a large family.
Then it helps us to really think about what would really fit in the outdoor kitchen. And we just tried to find the right dimensions that would actually allow for these different activities to be happening. Somebody could be cooking, someone can be sitting at a dining table such as the one in front of us now, but always being connected to folks that are in the pool or in the courtyard, or for that matter, even all the way inside the house proper.
Absolutely so. Each space connects, but of course this being a covered area, great in all weather to enjoy meals and entertain family and friends.
The other thing that we did is we made lots of sketches, architectural drawings that are sometimes facade studies, sometimes interior elevation studies, and it has to do with how can we open up the space enough so that it's really integrated, but that you still feel that like you're inside of a room.
Yes, and that is the perfect words, because this does. It feels like you're in a room, almost open concept family room feel that would be in the interior, but you've achieved it in a beautiful open outdoor setting. There are so many beautiful details within here, and I can't wait to talk about more of them. But first, we're going to check in with our friends from FHIA and see what they have going on today.
Hey, my name is Kevin Melendez. I'm actually a field manager here for FHIA. Been here for the last 3.5 years. Well, here at FHIA, one of the most important things for us is customer satisfaction. We like to have customer satisfaction at all times. So from the beginning, we like to let them know that we are there for them for any questions and anything they need. And after the process, we want to make sure that the product that we give the individuals, they're happy with, that this is what they paid for, that this is what they're looking for.
The process itself was not painful at all with the windows or the roof. So I definitely do recommend people to go through your company because it just was a smooth transition from that old cruddy looking roof to this beautiful roof we have now.
I believe what makes us different compared to all of our competitors will be not only the product that we have, our customer service, what we're able to communicate at all time with the customer, everything that we're able to give them. All of our installers are all factory certified installers, which that means that we'll be doing a job correctly from start to finish. It'll guarantee the work for all the factory warranties that you might ask for, and it's all what we need to pass inspection and complete the job. Well, warranty issues are very simple for us. We like to go back out to the customer. We have our own inspectors who will verify the product, see if there was any damage, any other concerns that the customer might have. We'll send our technicians out. If we're not able to fix it with our technician, we do have warranty on product that we're able to order, reorder, replace at no cost to the customer. Some of the great things that we hear from customers is actually the good customer service our team provided. with all the communication steps that we take to assure that the customer is happy at all times. Most of our calls are actually from a customer who actually recommended somebody, and that's mainly all the customers that we get would be from our feedback of how we did our job, how good we did our job, and how we completed the job as the customer wanted.
Let Kevin and all the experts at FHIA help you with your roofing project. Call FHIA Remodeling at 888-828-FHIA.
So Anna and Frank, we've got a lot of details to discuss, and I want to start with the beautiful brickwork behind us.
We actually fell in love with this diagonal brickwork, and it's very beautiful because it's just meant to act as a screen.
It's a great detail.
Yeah, and it's a way of letting light in, being able to see through. You see the landscape and so on. And it's really an interesting assembly of bricks. The bricks still need to be cut in a sort of chamfered way to come together.
That's another example of that great craftsmanship that we've talked about.
You always have to have really craftspersons that are really interested in looking at wonderful things and trying to find that goodness again. We were in fact looking at traditional Mediterranean architecture, which is the origins of how it happens here in Coral Gables, and like we wanted these columns to be sort of sturdy
nice
and carrying weight. And then we do things like we chamfer the corners because it gives a very sort of delicate sort of finesse to the columns. And then certain parts of it are actually exposed concrete.
Yes.
And so the idea was not to put any kind of finish on it. And I think that's really what at the end brings out the kind of special and vernacular quality of the work itself.
We pay a lot of attention to the construction details, but more importantly, it's a team effort. We were fortunate to work with Courtney Development that are very talented and thoughtful contractors. They brought in the right team to accomplish the details in the right way, preparing mock-ups, samples, anything we needed to make sure it was executed correctly.
And that's such a good point to our viewers too, is like when you're trying to achieve in design and construction and everything, it's the synergy of the team.
Yes.
You have the good design, but you have to have the people to execute it so everything fits perfectly to that vision. We have a courtyard right next to us, which has beautiful blue of the sky, but in here I love that there is also blue continued on the ceiling. Was introducing color in that way, in the subtle way, something that was important to the design, and how did you decide on the blue?
The color was important to us and the owners, and we went through various, studies, but we found that the blue in the ceiling works well. It's based on traditional examples, and then we used different tones of blue. It might only look like one, but there's probably like 5 blues here.
When you see it sort of just weaving throughout, and there's so many different versions of it, but it all blends.
And there's also a fun story based on the blue, and that is in the very first project that we ever designed and had constructed, had a beautiful porch ceiling, and we were looking at colors. This was in Alabama. And I went to one of the builders and I said, I'm looking for this blue that I see on the porches. And the fellow tells me, well, that would be spider blue. And we were like, whoa, what is this?
Wow, yeah, what is
Why?
that color?
And basically, that's where we learned that spiders won't put their webs because they think it's the sky.
That's a great story, because I had never known that, and I think that's such a fun fact. Well, you've done such a beautiful job with this space, and I know that we have more to continue on, so we are going to walk on through and check out the pool on the other side when we come back. Coming up next, we look at pool placement for design balance on SoFlo Home Project. Welcome back to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra, and we're continuing our tour of this beautiful Coral Gables home with Ana Alvarez and Frank Martinez, the architects who worked on the outdoor edition of this project. The original pool had to be moved in order to make space for the new home addition. It was also a great way to maximize the square footage of this lot. Sort of series of moments you've created in this outdoor area just lead from one to another, but they all connect. So how important was it for this very end part with the pool to be sort of in this direct line with everything else that was going? Because you moved to the pool, correct?
We moved the pool. I think the pool stopped about here.
Okay.
So this was just, you know, a garden, but it wasn't really engaged to the house. In order to have the best opportunities for the site, it just wasn't advantageous to keep it. But a big part of any project really is the site planning exercise, and it really dictates so many of the decisions.
So that helped you sort of figure out exactly kind of how much space you could utilize for this part. Frank, earlier we talked about the facade on the courtyard side.
Yes.
But on this side, you've kept some elements similar, but there are some differences.
We had to approach the garden facade or the pool facade differently because here, again, we see the two-story facade, but we're no longer in a small courtyard space. We now have the entire garden to play with.
That changes your perception of...
It changes the perception, the vantage points that you have to see the facade. From this vantage point, we're also able to see the part of the body that contains the stairway up to the second floor that houses the pool cabana, the bath under the stair, as well as the outdoor shower.
And I love the way that you were able to tuck the outdoor shower sort of just off to there, but very private as well. You don't even notice it's in the structure until you turn the corner.
Right. The shower has small wing walls.
Yep.
Which again will lend a little bit of sense of privacy. We call it the architectural entourage of the project. So things that are real, that are part of the wall structure, or even things like the balcony slightly projecting, the use of the same railing detail, you know, on the balcony and on the balconette. It's just a way of bringing it all together. We used a little bit of that also in the front body or the original body of the house as well.
So you did some details there to tie it all together.
To try to tie everything together and so that it's cohesive and it really is about a new character that works with the old. And the other thing is that owners, they actually enjoy nowadays pools that are longer and they want to do laps and so on. So
definitely more of a trend we see.
We kind of had to find the balance between, you know, the kind of practical requirements of what they're looking for in a pool and how it would really become really a sort of great fountain in the garden as opposed to just a swimming pool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's beautiful and what a stunning design, and I absolutely love seeing this. But we have one more stop in this edition, and that's going to be to the upstairs of this structure to check out the guest suite, and we are going to take a look at that when we come back. Next, the second floor of this edition tops off this great design on SoFlo Home Project. Welcome back to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra, and we are on the last stop of our tour of this beautiful Coral Gables home with architects Ana Alvarez and Frank Martinez. So Ana and Frank, we are on the second story of the addition in the guest suite. This home addition is topped off by a spacious guest suite. Beautiful design elements flow all the way up to this fabulous new space.
So if you were to leave the main house, you would be walking through a gallery, which has columns on one side and a wall with openings on the other side. It's a narrow, a small space, but it gave us the opportunity to introduce color there. There's a dark blue base, and we introduced different blues in the ceiling and the rafters.
Nice.
And then directly on that path, there's the stairs that takes you up to the second floor of the addition. The stairs are open air also, with a small balcony overlooking the pool area at the landing.
Once we're upstairs here, we have the full bathroom, and of course on each side, great views, as we talked about how each one sort of has a little bit of a different view, but both equally beautiful.
I mean, we were very happy at the end with the decision to have the guest room up on the second floor.
Maximize the square footage.
And the most important thing is the natural light.
So I love all of the natural light in this room. I mean, we are just surrounded by light, but these windows are, these sort of half arches on the bed wall are just a nice detail. Was that part of the facade planning, or was it functional in terms of the headboard placement and a bed along this wall?
So it was a combination of the two. To avoid a blank wall, I mean, we designed it so it had these two small lunette windows, at an elevation higher than typical windows, so that there was ample wall space for the bed.
It's always nice to have little touches that somehow work beautifully from the outside and the inside.
Yes.
If we don't have that, then we would get kind of a blank wall to the neighbor on the second floor. So we think it adds a little bit of character.
Certainly does, and that's such a good point about not making it just such a plain wall. This was such a great opportunity to see how you worked on this project for your clients and just really made the new addition seamless to the existing home and brought in so many great new things. So we love getting the architect's perspective of this whole process, and thank you both for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And now let's take a look at what design inspiration we have planned for you next week on SoFlo Home Project.
We get expert advice on outdoor lighting for your home. Learn how adding the right lights will have you enjoying the beauty and function of your outdoor spaces after the sun goes down.
And to our viewers at home, we want to thank you for tuning in this week, and we hope to see you again next week for another episode of SoFlo Home Project right here on Local 10. And remember, there's no place like SoFlo Home.
If you missed any part of this episode, or if you're looking for more design inspiration, make sure to check out all episodes online at sofloshows.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram.